it's Yatappy guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video I'll show you a process and kind of like a tutorial about how I made my Jinx wig with the long extensions. Let's begin. But at first I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna use for this wig. You will need two wigs. It's gonna be perfect if they're gonna be the same. You can get it from Amazon. I'm gonna use two wigs which are slightly different, both of them from the Amazon, but I got them on different time. One of them from 2022, another one from 2024. Also, you will need matching fabric, like a mesh fabric, to secure the pigtails, and you also will need a matching color thread and sewing machine. If you don't have a sewing machine, you can just sew it with your hands. I'm gonna use both methods. Also, I will use a measurement tape, and here I'm gonna use centimeters, so be ready. For Jinx hair accessories, I collected some receipt paper and toilet paper hoops. I think they're gonna match these accessories perfectly. For this wig, I'm gonna use a hot glue and glue gun, but instead of hot glue, it's better to use also a different glue, but it's okay. You also can use a hot glue because I use it and it still turns out pretty good. So make sure you have a lot of glue sticks. You also will need a lot of hair clips, brushes, and this kind of tool to distribute the glue on the string. I'll show you how to use it later. Also, you will need a hook and lace. And if you wonder why do you need a lace, well, you will need it. Trust the process. I'll show you why you need that. Also, you will need a marker or charcoal. I'm gonna use charcoal to mark the measurements, and you will need a strong wire. I didn't have a strong wire at that moment, so I'm gonna use this one. This is a very tiny one, so I will need two of these to combine them together. Marker, paintbrush, a golden marker, and acrylic paints are also very useful for this tutorial, so make sure you have them as well. Also, you will need scissors, regular scissors for hair, and strong scissors to cut some of the hoops. And you need also the tape. I'm gonna use this one, but you can use any another tape, it's still gonna work. And for the hair, for the wig hair, you will need a steamer. Steamer is a big helper. And for other details, I'm going to use the cardboard box. So now we can start. So the very first thing I did was measurements. So I measured her pigtails and I add some extra length to the floor, and it's what was equal to 140 centimeters plus minus 2-3 centimeters. But girl, before you cut in the fabric, make sure you add some more length, like you need 150 at least. Then I measured the pigtails width separately because I want to make a separate tubes, and it was equal to approximately 5 centimeters. Well, with all of my confidence, I decided to fold the fabric and cut 6 separate pieces, 5 centimeters each. Well, I was very confident, but when I cut it, I was kind of suspicious about these pieces because they seem to be very thin. Anyway, I found a matching fabric, matching color fabric thread, which perfectly even matched the wig, and then I started sewing it. Well, at first I was sewing it with my hands, but then I realized that I'm gonna be so frustrated of doing it by my hands only, and over my fear about the sewing machine, I still decided to use it. So after a while, I remembered and figured out how to use it again, and then I started sewing. However, when I finished the first tube, I realized that it was way too thin and any strand of the hair will not fit in there, so I decided to start over. I cut another 140 centimeters piece of fabric, and then I made a little bit bigger piece for the tube, so I make it like approximately around 10 centimeters. So when you fold it together, it's gonna be like 5 centimeters. Now that was a perfect size for these tubes, and I would start working on them and sewing them. I was using some pins to make like a straight line, and then I was carefully sewing them all together, like to make a seam, and after a while I'll finish it, and that's what I got. Yeah, it's not really perfect, but it doesn't matter because we're still gonna make a pigtails and it's not gonna be seen. So yeah. After a little while, I finally finished sewing all these tubes, and the last two was very perfect. And now when I finish it, we can start working on the wig, which is waiting for me for a long time right over there. Before putting the hair into these tubes, I brush it and I use the steamer to detangle everything and make it super long and very nice, and like make the hair unbelievably easy to work with. So I spent like around hour of brushing and using the steamer, but steamer, believe me, steamer makes a big difference, and it really helps to detangle your hair at the wig. And here's the result. Look, it's just like in some kind of like advertisement. The hair are so silky, so smooth, and now it's so easy to work with them because they are not fluffy and they are not tangled. As I said before, you will need 2 wigs, and this one I got from Amazon along with the Jinx cosplay wig recently. Jinx wig cosplay wasn't really great, but anyway, I'm gonna use this wig as an extension, and the main one which I detangled, the old one, will be the base. And because it's gonna be a base, I will need to cut off these parts of the hair, but because I was styling it before, it's very crunchy because of the hairspray, and I will need to wash it. So here you go. I made a ponytail and I'm gonna wash it off just with the warm water and some soap. If you want, you can use your shampoo and conditioner, but I see no difference in the soap, so just wash it and leave it until it's gonna be completely dry. The next day I was retaking the measurements of my head because they weren't really accurate anymore, and it was so funny that my diameter of my head was pretty much the same as the mannequin one. The clear tutorial of taking the measurements you can actually find in the YouTube or anywhere else, but I was literally just measuring my head like from the hairline to the end of the hairline, from temple to temple, from ear to ear, from my eyebrows to the hairline, from my hairline to the nose, to the middle of the nose, to the end of the nose, to my eyes, to my lips, to my chin. And based on these measurements you can draw a face. And before even taking it, make sure you wrap like this mannequin on the plastic wrap, so it's gonna be easier to draw the face and or even retake it. And after a while I draw a very cute face, which we can work with now because it's gonna be super accurate for wig making, and now we're gonna know where it's gonna go, and I don't need to take off the wig and put it on my head anymore because everything's gonna be on the mannequin now. By that time the hair was completely dry, and now we can work with it, but I decided to work with the pigtails first. So I brush and detangle and steam the hair again, and then I split it to the separate 6 parts, separate 6 strings, and actually to the 8 because I saved some strings for the temple part so I can cut it and cover the temple and part of my ears. Then I choose the perfect hook for the strings picking, but this hook wasn't really hooking enough, so I put the lace on it. And now with this super tool we can grab the hair and put it through the tube I sewed before. So here's how you do it. You take the hook and you put this tube inside on it, all the way inside. Then when you finished, you take in the string of a hair and make sure to tie this lace very close to the hook and to the hair. If it's gonna be too long, it's not gonna work well. So make sure it's very tight. And then I don't know, I use my mouth to hold the hook because I don't have the third or fourth hand, so I did something like that. I carefully placed the fabric around this part of the hair, so like I fold this part of the hair, and then when it's almost inside I pull it and the magic happens. Look at this very nice way of putting this into this tube. So the same way I did all the 6 strands of the hair, and then I made the the pigtails from it. One more time, when you're making these tubes, make sure you make them long. I made them a little bit shorter than I was supposed to, so I have this like extra fabric on the bottom which I will cut and use it for the next extensions, but make sure to make them long enough because this one were a little bit short. And after a little dance party I actually started making the pigtails, and it was kind of hard because I was trying to make them like a different way, but I just made a simple one, very simple design, and here's the result. It's a little bit not perfect, but in the general looks so good, and you barely can say that it has like a mesh fabric on it, but it looks so neat and so cool. Oh my god. Then I start working on the second week. I did absolutely the same thing, the same steps as with the first week, except washing it because it was completely new. I brushed the wig. I didn't really use the steam because it was kind of cool, but I check the length of the pigtails, then again brush it, and then I use this hook to put it into the tubes, and then I make them pigtails, and here you go. It's all ready. Now we will need to cut this part because it's going to be an extension, and we'll need to fix a little bit the bottom one because it's slightly not enough fabric over here, and I'm afraid that the hair can come out from this pigtail. But in general, it looks so good, especially the endings. Oh my god, I was really nervous when I started cutting the big piece of the hair from this wig, but hey, we were supposed to do that. I cut it off. And based on my reaction, you definitely can see that it was my first time cutting that much hair from the wig. Anyway, I put the glue right away after I cut the hair to secure it, but make sure not to put too much because we will need to cut it later, just like I did. I put too much because I was afraid that it can somehow like untangled or get break. But we're gonna work with these pigtails before, but make sure they gonna dry completely, like the glue has to dry. And also be careful because it's gonna be hot and I burned myself a lot. But here you go, this is how it looks. Very terrible, but anyway, we're gonna work with the tails, and I'm gonna put some fabric. I'm literally gonna sew it, and we're gonna sew now a lot, and I have this beautiful thread, so I'm sewing all the small parts to this pigtails, and I also put the lace over here through the wig, through this pigtail, and I make sure that it's gonna fit this hoop because it's gonna be like a cover part. And now we can work with the second one because I'm gonna do the same thing to the second one. If you ever wonder how many days it took me to finish, well, it took me a whole week because I was very busy, but at the same time I was spending like up to 10 or 5 hours per day of making this wig, and I'm super slow. But here you go. I'm finished fixing this part because it's gonna be like the bottom part, and they're quite strong because look what I can do with them. Very cool. So they're very secure, very strong, and now we can put them to the base. But before putting it to the base, I decided to work a little bit more on the top part of my base. So I fixed the temple part. I carefully cut it the length, and I was trying to save it because I need the extra hair for the bangs, which I'm gonna make separately. So I brush it, I steam it, and I cut it a little bit. We're gonna cut it a little bit more after I finish it. Then I use this wire because it's super thin and not stable and very easy to break. I'm gonna fold it like a couple times, and I actually fold it like around 4 to 5 times, and after 30 minutes of folding it and folding it and folding it all together, I made some separate one long and few short parts for the bangs. We're gonna use this as the base for the bangs, and here what I got. Originally, I was planning to make like 3D shape, something like that from the phone, but I realized like this wire shape is still gonna work, and it's super steady now, so we can put the tape now on it. And as I said, you can use any tape. I used this one. I was slowly like layering all the layer together, like from the both sides, and it was slowly shaping to the shape which usually Jinx bangs has. And after a while, I finish it again, and here you go. This is what I have, and I feel like it's perfect for the bangs of the Jinx. In total, I made 4 of them, and all these 4 are gonna go to the hat. I'm gonna glue them, but before I glue them, I need to glue the hair to them. So now we actually can work on this top part. I'm gonna brush it and steam it again to make it straight, and then I slowly cut the hair. It was so unusual doing it. Like, it was my first time doing this Hamlet wig, and it was so unusual to cut the hair because I was thinking like, oh my god, I can mess up, I'm not gonna do it well, it's not gonna even look good enough. But here you go. A bald Jinx wig. It's so weird, and yeah, but I put the all this cutted hair separately, and it's not enough because we're gonna cut some hair from the second wig to make it look nice. And that when I finish cutting it, I add some glue to make it like more like of the base, because to this base is gonna be easily to glue the bangs. And while it's gonna drying, because it has to dry completely, I'm gonna work more on these bangs. So we have a base, and now we're gonna cut some more hair from the second wig, and we're gonna glue it to the base. Well, while I was working, I was using the hot glue, but then I realized that I was supposed to buy and use the UHU glue, which is perfectly good for this kind of work, but it was too late, so I was just working the glue. That's why it wasn't really perfect, but in general it still looks good. Like for the first time, it's not that bad, and I really love the process of it, even so it's so frustrated, but it's so interesting to do it. So I was keep going with these bangs, and after like around 1.5 hours, I finish it, and here you go. All these 4 are perfectly fine, and now, not really perfectly fine, but now we can glue them to the base. And here's me gluing them, really worrying that I can mess up again and then it's not gonna look good, but hey, here you go. While I was gluing it, I started gluing like the extra hair parts, and then I start working all the small details like a small hair on the hairline. And to make them, I actually start making like a separate pieces of the hair. So I was taking the strand of the hair, and I was taking the different glue, the super glue for this time, because I didn't have the UHU glue. So I took the super glue. Apparently you have to put from the both sides, but because it was very strong glue, I just put it from the one side, and I like left it to dry. Then I was gluing it with this hot glue to the wig, to the mannequin basically. And this is how it turns out. I did it under the bangs, around the bangs, and I also used this method to fix the back of the hair. I made some extension on the hairline when it ends in, like I extended a little bit, and I make a very nice hairline on the back. So here's the process. Alright, the process was very short, but anyway, here's the result, and I really love the back part. Like I made an extensions and so on, and somebody actually said like, oh my god, how you did this braiding on the back. Well, I literally glue everything together. It's all the masterpiece of the glue. But when I finish it, I start working on the main part, the extension, and as you can see, they're kind of chunky. But now we're gonna work with them, and we're gonna sew them to each other. Well, this thing, it was a wrong thing to do. Like I was trying to make like a hook and somehow like attach them to each other, but it was a mistake, and I couldn't fix it, so I just leave it, and then I just attach them together and I sew them together. That's what I did. Like the second part was a little bit better, but remember when I said like do not push too much glue? Here you go. You see, I'm cutting this glue away because it was way too chunky and I couldn't fit it into the hoop which I'm gonna use to cover this part, so it's kind of ugly. But anyway, we're gonna do similar thing to the second part, to the second pigtail, and then we're gonna sew them all together. So now I'm gonna be shut and just watch what I'm doing, and closely watch and repeat. Yeah. Alright, I'm back again, and now we're gonna work with this part because it doesn't really look nice, so we're gonna fix it. And again, I'm gonna use the needle and the matching color thread, and we're just gonna sew it to the pigtails. And after a little while, here how it looks much better, right? Yep, it looks much better, and the best part that the thread is almost unseeable in here. And now we all done with the wig. All we need to do is just add the accessories, but the wig is completely done. Boom. And as I said, I'm gonna use these hoops for the accessories, I want to make it super easy because I was already so tired with this week. So I'm not gonna go extra with the beautiful details. So I'm just gonna use them, and I'm gonna cut them because they were very big for this small tiny pigtails. And after, I just painted them with a acrylic paint and with a golden marker paint. I literally opened the marker and I used whatever was inside to make them like golden parts of her accessories. Well, they were not really perfect because originally I was planning to use the foam and make like the actual accessories, but I was already way too tired, so I just used whatever I had, and it actually also a very nice alternative for the people who cannot use the foam clay or who just want to make it as simple as possible and as fast as possible. And here how they looks. I left them over the night to completely dry, and the next day I got my Jinx nails. Oh my god, the same day I actually did the Jinx cosplay, but here you go. Oh my god, I love these nails. They look so cool and exactly like the Jinx. But hey, we have to finish the accessories first, right? So here you go. Here's the accessories, and now we have to glue them to the wig. It's very simple, and I was really worried that I can mess up, but it was really easy because I literally glued them to the wig, and then I all the seam, I put like a lot of glue on it, but I was trying to do it very carefully. And the only one thing left is her gears, like a gear part, gear accessories on the very top. So I just cut the straight line from the cardboard box and I folded in the gear shape, and well, it's not really a gear shape, but I tried my best. So I cut it 2 parts, I folded them, and then I painted them. Do not use the yellow paint on it, like do not make the same mistake I did. But I painted them, and because it dried really fast, like this golden marker, I just simply glue it to the wig. And here how it looks. I secure everything with extra glue, and then I painted all the seams with the golden paint, and that's it. We're all done. I mean, almost, because we need to do some extra thing over here. Well, first of all, is still the glue is still thinnable over here. Like, it's kind of messy, but from the right lighting and right angle, especially on the TikTok, it's almost unsinnable. So I just left it. Then I had some struggle with it, but I carefully removed the wig from my mannequin head and I put it on. And then I trimmed the temple part. That's why I left this temple part for the very last moment, because I need to trim it right on me. And when I finished it, I was admiring this wig because I was so happy with the final result. Like, oh my god, look at this, oh my god, I was so happy because it was my first time doing this kind of like wig technique, and I kind of like it, even though it's so hard. So the last part I did, I just measured my hairline correctly again, and I cut this small parts over here, and that's it. Now the wig, after the whole wig, is completely done. And if you didn't dislike this wig a lot, come on, I spent so many time on it, so please put a like, because I tried my best. The pigtails looks actually pretty much good, so whatever. Here's the final result. I really hope this video was kind of helpful for you, and I still hope you kind of like my my wig, even so it's not really perfect, but come on, for the first time of this new technique, it looks good. It looks good. And if you're curious how I look in my full costume, Jinx cosplay, follow my Instagram and TikTok to see more pictures and videos. But for now, that's it. Thank you everyone for watching, and bye.